let's start. Well, everyone, we will see more people joining, of course, but I think we can slowly start and get to the process. So it's nice to see you all here today, and thank you for your time. It's going to be a long session, 1 hour and a half. So I hope that you will make it, and I hope it will be fun and enjoyable with some useful information for you. So first of all, let me say that this is the DATADRIVE session, Brainstorming to Boost Your Business. And today we have two main goals for this session. First of all, we will be discussing Google Analytics, okay, and how to use Google Analytics and data from Google Analytics, metrics, graphs, everything from there for your ride-hailing taxi business. And the second goal for this session is for me to really kind of boost a little bit your creativity, your openness towards maybe some new ideas in marketing, to show you how you can do this with your team using Google Analytics, to see how Google Analytics and data from Google Analytics can really bring you ideas. And I want you to be active today, okay? I'm going to explain the rules a bit later, but I want you to be active. I want you to share ideas today with others. Of course, nobody is asking to share some, secrets. This is not what we are looking for. But I'm going to ask you questions during the session, and I hope that you will be able to help me and to answer these questions and share with your peers your ideas that you have in mind, okay? I was talking about co-creation and really brainstorming co-creation. This is something that can really bring a lot of ideas, and getting these ideas and then adjusting these ideas that you will hear today from your peers, or maybe you will have some ideas in your head during the session, and then later adjusting it to your business, to your companies. I'm sure that you can find something here, and I'm sure that you can really find something new today from your peers, from what we will be discussing. So yeah, let's see. So two goals, as I said, Google Analytics, learning about Google Analytics, and brainstorming and generating ideas. So this session, originally, as you might see in the description, we have this session. So we started this workshop in Dubai, and this session is slightly different to what we did in Dubai. Before, we were discussing Google Analytics and data and how to approach it and how to look at this from the point of scaling. Today, we will be more focused on Google Analytics. And for those who were at our session in Dubai, you will see that this workshop is a little bit different, and we added some more information and some more points about Google Analytics that you can use. So let's just start. A little bit about the rules. I'm going to present you the rules. So first of all, as I said, the session will be recorded, so be ready for this. Again, please stay muted unless you're invited to speak. Just to, we need to keep in mind that there are quite some people here in the room. And then if you want to speak, when you're ready to share your ideas, when I will ask you questions and it's going to be a time for brainstorming, please raise your hand and I'm going to see that, and you will be able to raise, and you will be able to answer, you will be able to share your ideas, okay? And to the third point, we respect all opinions, okay? Really, when it comes to marketing, there is no right or wrong. We are all coming from different backgrounds. We're all coming from different experiences, from different countries, from different mentality. And what is working for you might not work for another company, okay? And this is something just for you to keep in mind. So in many ways, there is really no right or wrong. And I'm gonna tell about this a little bit later as well. So this is about rules of this session. I hope it's understandable. Then about me, just briefly introduce myself. My name is Liza. I'm a lead digital marketer at Onde, and I've been working with Onde for more than 4 years already. In general, I've been working in international IT companies as a digital marketer for more than 10 years. I've been doing a lot of different things. I've been working on strategies. I've been working on websites. Everything that is connected to digital marketing is something that I know. So here I am, your speaker for today, your moderator for today. And let's go to the plan. So basically, we have 3 parts today: introduction, something that I'm doing right now. Then I'm going to briefly tell you about why we use Google Analytics and why we use this particular tool, okay? And during the 3rd part, we will really dig deeper into Google Analytics, into different metrics, reports. We will do brainstorming on different parts. So that's what we're going to do. Before we go to Google Analytics and to discussing Google Analytics, I want to make a note here that context is everything. That's why I mentioned that in most cases, there is no right or wrong. And this is something that we also we had a discussion in Dubai regarding this. And sometimes I was asked, okay, so what is the right answer? And I'm going to tell you, in most cases, there is no right answer. Again, because you need to keep in mind your experience, your company, your audience. We will be looking at different graphs today, but these graphs, and despite the fact that we will be brainstorming on these graphs without the context of your company, without the context of people you live with, your city where you operate, it's nothing, okay? It doesn't make any sense. This will be just numbers, but still quite some useful numbers. This is just for you to remember, okay? So the next point, why Google Analytics? Why are we talking about Google Analytics? Because there are so many different tools right now that you can use for analytics. Well, first of all, it's kind of standard, okay? You use Google Analytics for your website, for your applications. It's a free tool. It has so many different things, you know. It has really a very comprehensive overview of everything. It has a lot of features. And also and of course be connected to Google AdWords, Google Ads right now, and you can use it. And of course, it is connected to Firebase. This is something that we use at our Onde applications for sending push notifications. So this is kind of standard tool. Another tool that I want to mention is AppsFlyer. This is something that we also do, that we also have in our apps. But this is like a paid tool, okay? So you need to pay for it. If you're ready to pay for it, no problem. You can always get in touch with your account manager. We will make it happen. But in general, Google Analytics is the tool that all our clients have access to, okay? So this is kind of standard. And really, like, it's a great tool. It's just great, okay? Which questions? Talking about questions that Google Analytics can really help you to answer. And we were talking about these questions in terms of like scaling, how they can help you scaling. But in general, these questions, those are questions that every business might have. Google Analytics can help you identify where you are at your journey, okay? Which market you can choose to grow or scale in, okay? Then who is your audience? What are the people you work with? Who are your passengers? Who are your drivers? Where they are from? Which devices they're using? Which interests they have? Like all the different types of characteristics about your users. Then it can help you to really define your strategy for scaling, help you to answer the question how you plan to scale or grow your business, how to build your strategy. And the last question, but not the least, of course, what you plan to do, your tactics for scaling, for growing, for working with your audience, which channels you might use for this. Okay, so those are all the different questions. So let's go to the next slide. And here we're moving to setup. for the, like, I'm pretty sure there are users who know about Google Analytics, but for everyone else, just to show you what we do, where we start with Google Analytics, it's of course reports. Reports is the tab that is the most important tab for you, probably, because it has all the data that you need. Basically, when you click on reports, here you have all the different tabs, like overview, like acquisition, engagement, monetization, basic overview of your user life cycle, the tab about users, the part about users, okay, the demographics, tag preferences, etc. And of course, when you start, one of the most important thing is to define actually the time period. What are you interested in? Are you looking to understand your users' behavior over 1 month or over 90 days? Or maybe you even want to compare. Okay, so you will, of course, need to define these time frames. And then we have the setup like this, okay? First of all, when you go to your Google account and when you're looking for reports, and when you set up the date, it still shows you the data for all the applications that are connected to your account. And right now, when you have, if you have Onde.apps with us, you have 4 applications. Okay, it's iOS driver app, it's Android driver app, it's Android customer app, and it's iOS customer app. But in most cases, you don't want this mixed data because the behavior of your drivers and your passengers is different, okay? And in general, you don't want, like, it's totally different audiences, okay? You don't want to mix them. So you would like to probably look into them separately. And to do this, you will see in this left upper corner, you will see this thing, which is like all users. It shows that right now you're looking into data for all 4 applications, for all users that you have. And in order to separate these apps that you're going to look into, you need to select dimensions first, how you will really kind of filter these users, okay? And here you need to choose the dimension that is called stream name, and it will allow you to find the different values. So basically your different applications that you have, and you need to choose the applications that you want to look into. In most cases, of course, you would like to look into your passenger behavior. That's why you're choosing these apps like passenger iOS, passenger Android. You just click here and there, you just click OK, and then you will click apply, and you will see data only for these applications. Of course, this is not the only condition that you can use for filters. There are much more. And like here, you can see language codes, meaning that you can also choose users speaking different languages. You can choose users located in different countries. So there are different dimensions, and this is like pretty easy to use, but just to start with, you really need to separate users from the driver apps and from your passenger apps. That's it. That's just really basic setup. Of course, you can just play around these dimensions. You will not destroy anything if you choose something wrong. So just go around and you can go wild here on setup. The next, so coming to our questions, we will be reviewing all the different metrics, all the different graphs based on the questions that I mentioned earlier, questions that Google Analytics can answer. And for questions where you are at your journey right now, where your company is right now, and which market you can choose to grow, you can really look into users and number of new users, and you can compare a number of users that you got in different periods of time. And here I'm gonna slightly explain you, and we will actually like also play around a bit later with these dimensions. So how the number of users and the number of new users and the growth rate that you will be able to see here, how it will help you to really identify it. What is really the difference? I'm going to go to this to this screen bottom. So first of all, the number of users. So of course, the number of users that you have shows how many users use your applications. It's simple. How does this data can help you to understand where you are and where your company is actually joining? So you have your market, wherever you operate in, you have the city, for example, a particular city, and this particular city has a certain number of potential users, like has the market, okay? So meaning the whole number of users for this type of applications, okay, for ride-hailing applications. And the number of users can help you to identify which piece of this market you have. How to do that? Using just Google Analytics, it's quite difficult to do actually, because you really need to know how many potential users you have, how many users you have in the market. For this, you can really go to statista.com, or you can use our trick that we use at Onde sometimes, how to identify the whole number of users in the market, in the particular market. You can use the number of users of social medias. For example, let's talk about Facebook. A lot of people use Facebook, and basically people who use Facebook, and if they use, especially if they use mobile version on their devices, okay, those are potential users of your app, okay, especially from a certain age. And this is like from 18, or maybe in some countries from 21, for example, or 22, like whatsoever. And these are the numbers that you can really get. And first of all, because there are a lot of different reports on the number of users for social networks in particular regions, in particular countries, in particular cities. And another thing that you can do, you can just set up an advertising account, an ad account on your Facebook for your Facebook business group. And then you can just start. You don't need to really start the campaign, the Facebook campaign, okay? But you can just start a draft, okay? You can just draft the campaign, and you can just mention all the characteristics that you're interested in. So for example, a certain place, your area of operation, like certain city, the age of users, like from 18 to 60, for example, and male and female, and you can mention that they should use like mobile applications, Facebook mobile application, and you see, and Facebook will give you approximate number of users, okay? So this is something that you can really see. And when you have this number of users from the whole market, you can compare the numbers here of the users that you have. You can compare it with the number from the whole market, and then you understand how much of the market you really have. And coming back to the point whether you reach your maximum at a certain market, and where you should grow, okay, whether you should go with the market that you operate in and just do some marketing activities to get more users from this market. You can also look at growth rate, okay? So here we see that the number of users are growing relatively quickly, 8.2% of users, almost 20% of new users. That means that the app has a potential to grow. It's growing quickly right now, and it has more potential to grow, because the growth rate, when you reached a certain level at the market, when you really reach the top of the market, it will really slow down. You will have like 1% at max, probably, maybe even less than 1%. And you will just see, okay, I don't have these numbers. I don't have a lot of new users. And I see that the number of users, for example, I get like 50% of the market, which is already a lot. And you will understand that, okay, I should probably look into another market. And when I say another market, it's actually, it doesn't mean that you have to go to another country, okay? It's just can be another service, which is basically also another market. So, you know, you can look at these numbers, and these numbers in general can tell you a lot when it comes to where you are, which piece of the market you have, whether there is still a chance for you to grow in this market. So on this one, you can say that, yeah, probably there is a chance to still grow here. Okay, let's go to the next part. And the next part is about who, my favorite part, because it shows you so many different things about your users, the users that you have right now, basically where they are from, who they are, what they like, devices they use, operating systems they use. And sometimes operating system is a very important thing, actually. And we do always look at this also because sometimes we need to kind of cut certain operation systems if we see that the number of users is not big enough. Again, their interests, everything like their age, their gender, who they are, so you can really get a picture of your users. So let's start and let's look into users by geography. And yes, we got this question sometimes, whether you can see users from certain cities, whether you're able to really identify cities, because it's difficult sometimes to do in stores, in Google Play and in App Store. Sometimes it's difficult to identify the cities of your users, but Google Analytics, it can show you this. So you can really see the cities where your users are located. So here we have this graph. Of course, it's not like all the cities. There will be like a table, and you will see all the different cities where you have your users. All right. So users by age. And again, here we have all the different types of users. And from this graph, you can definitely tell that the most of the users that this particular application has are of age 25, 34, which is kind of, yeah, it's kind of logical. But here I suggest you to become a little bit active and try to brainstorm a little bit on this thing. So I'm going to give you some context about this graph, and we will try to understand what is the next category. So let's imagine that when it comes to users of 25, 34, we reached the maximum. So we checked the market for this particular users. We understand that this number of users that we have here, we kind of reach the maximum, and we need to do something. We need to reorient our service a little bit, and we need to get a new audience of another age. What would be this audience? And I suggest you to participate, and I suggest you to answer this question. And I want to remind you, there is no right answer, but just your ideas based on your experience, how you feel, which age category would you choose to go for next? Where would you develop your service? Where would you grow your service? Don't feel afraid, really. I mean, we're talking. It's good to hear your peers. It's good to hear your ideas, what you think is right. Which users would you go for? Would you go for the audience of 18-24 because they're young and most likely they will be, okay, so I have the answer from Donald. Donald says 18-24. Donald, could you explain why you think so? Like you can text, you can mention in chat, or you can unmute yourself and just, yep.
Hi, I'm Donald from Arrive LLC. Yeah. I would choose 18 to 24 because that's just the next closest, I guess, to the 25 to 34. Mm-hmm. So I think it's the closest goal versus like the 55 to 64.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also because these people, this is the generation, okay, the young generation, and they will be the next one who will have money. So maybe yes, we have the answer from Philippe in the chat, 24 plus, because they have more income. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. And for example, if we talk about the audience 35 to 44, it makes a lot of sense. They definitely have much more money. I agree with that. Anyone else who would like to add something to it? Was it? Oh no, Marwa, please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. You can hear my voice, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Okay, so as you said, there is no like right answer, but the way how I see it is that if most of the customers are in like the age range 25 to 34, it means maybe that there is like a huge potential in this age, that there is like a need for such service. So probably like mostly I will focus on this age, trying to make it even bigger, and of course without neglecting the other age ranges. So yeah, that's how I see it.
Okay, good. Thank you so much, Marwa. Yes, that makes sense. Of course, if you have a potential here, if you have some more like market there, and if you understand that you did not really reach your potential with this age, sure, that's what you do. All right, let's go to the next slide. And here we have another interesting one, and I hope that you will join our discussion regarding this slide as well. So here we have gender and interests. So you see a lot of users who are intermediate and they're shoppers. They are also technology and mobile enthusiasts, meaning, yeah, obviously they're using your app. They're also into sports and fitness. Quite a lot of them are foodies as well. And when we see their gender, it's close, it's kind of 50-50. We can say that it's 50-50 female, male, more or less the same. So let's think about these questions. So for example, you need to grow this audience. You understand that those are your users and you understand that they're interested in your app. And as Marwa said, that means there is a potential in this audience. There is a need from this audience. So what would you do? Which marketing activities would you go for if you know that your audience is into entertainment, they're also into shopping, they're also into sports and fitness? What would you do? I can start quickly, okay, because they're into media and entertainment. I don't know, maybe you can talk to some cinemas in your region, for example. So Errol asking what was the question. So the question is, we have this particular audience. We understand there is a potential to grow this audience. And we understand that this audience is into media and entertainment. From this graph, we can see there are a lot of people who likes to entertain themselves. There are a lot of shoppers, so they go shopping, they like shopping. They're also into sports, right? So they go into the gym probably, or maybe they like to watch football. So we have this audience. Which marketing activities or which activities in general would you do to grow this audience, which has these interests? They go in shopping, they're probably going to cinemas. And again, as I said, you can just go to cinemas and to local cinemas and try to, talk to them and partner with them. Philippe suggests target the interest of users with Google Ads. Great idea. Definitely, you can do that. You can look for these people, targeting their interests and showing your ads, showing that you have such services and such applications to them. Other ideas. What else can we do with this audience, knowing that that's what they like? Maybe with some shopping centers. Okay, Marwa, again, please go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, so as you said, for example, for the media and entertainment, maybe we can do some kind of partnerships with some companies, some places that they like to go, like the cinemas or anything. And for example, for the shoppers, maybe we can analyze our data and see like what are the most let's say shopping areas where people actually like to go there. So maybe also we can partner with those shopping places like malls and stuff. We can provide some kind of offers for our customers, trying to make them more loyal with us. And yeah, as Philip said, we can target them through Google Ads, giving them some incentives just to keep them in the company. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's a great idea. I agree completely. We can create these ads targeting the specific audience. We can maybe provide them some promo codes. Maybe we can just send some push notifications to this audience, you know, so we can make them even more loyal. Any other ideas? Anyone else? Feel free to speak. Yes, use Firebase to send notification with similar interest. Philip, yes, you are right. Definitely, we can do that. Okay, Elizaveta, yes, please go ahead.
I'm thinking maybe it's a great idea to check events that are happening in the city. For example, if we have the audience that is interested in media, entertainment, and comics, animation fans, maybe if some comics festival or I don't know any other activity that is connected with some media entertainment is happening in town, the company can provide transportation services to the event or from the event. And generally, I think it's a good idea to subscribe to social channels. Anyways, I will just finish up my idea. So you can subscribe to some partners on the market that are in social media or in I don't know, comics, any entertainment partners, just to track what events they are having, to offer something in advance and to make sure that you are kind of in trend.
Let's move on, otherwise we will not have enough time for everything. So thank you so much, and thank you so much again for waiting for me. I hope it won't happen again, but yeah. So another thing which is quite important, of course, is users by platform. And you can see here Android, iOS, those are the main platforms. You can see different number of users. Again, it all depends on the market. It all depends, and you know your market much more than I do, okay? So if we're talking about this picture that we have right now, so here we have more users that use Android apps, which is the case for developing countries, for example. And if you see this picture and you know that people in your area, they use more Android than iOS, and for example, you found some statistics over the internet, and you understand that, yes, that's the case, then like you can basically, you cannot do anything, okay? You can just say that, yes, because people use more Android than iOS, I'm going to put all my efforts into promoting my Android app. And because usually also iOS apps, and I know if we're talking about advertising, for example, advertising for iOS apps is much more expensive than for Android. You can just say, okay, I don't need it. I'm not going to put like all my efforts, and I know that my users, they use Android, and I'm go for Android, and I'm going to promote the Android applications only, and I'm not going to spend my time and money on iOS. But if the case is that you know that there are much more people using iOS than what you see on the screen, you might want to go vice versa. You might go to with your efforts targeting iOS users, because also iOS users, they tend to pay more, like they tend to be ready to spend some more money, and you might find paying audience. Okay, so if you know that there is enough people in your area using iOS and you don't see them on this graph, maybe you want to change it. Maybe you want to just invest a little bit money and a bit of efforts into this audience as well. Okay, let's go next. And the next one is how. The question, how are you going to do that? So keeping in mind all the information from the previous slides, okay, and also add in some information such as your weak and strong points, and we will discuss them later, and what exactly you need to improve. You can come up with a strategy, okay? But this is very important, of course, to have a strategy. Before going to all the different graphs, I want to explain what is engaged session, because we will see some data that involves this parameter, this data about sessions. And they will even see just sessions, which basically includes all the sessions. So when the user starts your app, this is a session, okay? But engaged session is something different. An engaged session is a session that lasts longer than 10 seconds. So the user spends like 11 seconds, it's an engaged session. Great, check. Then, or the session has a conversion event. And we will see later which conversion events we have. And if the user makes an event, so for example, in our case, it can be like first launch. The user starts the app and it's going to be the first time that he does it. And even if he spends less than 10 seconds, he still does this conversion event and it's still counted as an engaged session. Or the user has at least 2 page views or screen views. So the user starts the app, the user, I don't know, goes to his account, he spends less than 10 seconds, no conversion events done, still an engaged session. And of course, this is very important for you to know because you want these engaged sessions to last longer and you want these engaged sessions just to have more of them, okay? That means that users are really into your app. They kind of use it, which is great, obviously. So let's look at user engagement because this is a part of Google Analytics that can help you to come up with the tactics. It can help you to understand whether you have like which weak points you might have. And here we have a graph with average engagement time, which is the engagement time per one active user for the time period selected. So for example, you selected 1 month and one user on average spends more than half of an hour in your application, which is not bad, right? And then you have engaged sessions per user, and here we have 11. That means that one user spends approximately 11 sessions with your app within this month, if you selected a month as a period of time, okay? And then this is something that you don't see here, but you will see it in Google Analytics, in your Google Analytics, is the average engagement time per active user per session, okay? So one average user spends approximately 2 minutes in your app per session, which is, again, not bad. But I want you now to go to the slide that we had before also. And because we see like with this average engagement time and the number of engaged sessions, we see that it's dropping, you know, comparing to like the previous period, it's dropping. But also we know on this graph, we know that the number of users and the number of new users is growing, but the average engagement time is going down. So why? Let's see why. Why can it happen? First of all, because we see that the number of new users is growing. Most likely, we launched a new campaign because those are quite numbers, you know, 20% is a growth rate for new users. That's a lot. That's probably because we launched a campaign here. And average engagement time is going down, first of all. Well, your new users, they didn't have enough time to use the app, right? They probably joined just 1 day ago, so they didn't really open the app. So this is kind of normal. Also, another important thing, and I want to think about this, new users, especially with your advertising campaign, most likely not all of them are relevant. They might install your app, they might think, oh yeah, it's a great app, I'm going to use it, but then they will never come back. They open it once, they close it, maybe delete it, you know. So of course, it's very difficult to engage new users with your application. It's a very important thing. So when you launch a campaign, you need to also think about engaging your new users. And I suggest you right now to think about how you would engage them. What would you do? Which marketing efforts, marketing activities can you do to involve your new users? And again, this is a brainstorming time, so please feel free to put your answers in the chat or raise your hand and just go ahead with the answers. Okay, Marwa, sure, please go ahead.
Okay, so here in Otaxi, for example, we provide them with incentives. We give them like a free ride or a discount. And also there is like a way trying to let them know about the features of the application, or like what are the needs that maybe they will need this application later on, or maybe they will need it right now. So yeah, it's mostly about communicating the features, why they need this application, and trying to give them like a push, like an incentive to use the app and take a ride. It can be done through the, for example, push notifications, trying to target those specific audiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Marwa. Philip also mentions in the chat fare-based notifications or coupons. Yes, that's right. Great that you know it and great that you use it. It's a great way. Anyone else? Anyone who would like to add something? Maybe someone from Onde team, because I see some participants from Onde.
So I think that most of our users already know this point, but I'll just share it again. Our coupon systems, to be able to use that with our clients, with the potential clients, running promos for a period of time, engaging that the first couple of coupons, whatever amount they select, will be able to, they can do a promotion for a certain period of time so that those users can capture that specific discounts or whatever the case may be, even referral coupons, that type of thing. That's a way to engage them as well.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Michelle. I also saw Donald raising a hand. Donald, would you add something?
Sure. In terms of engagement, we've had engagement with drivers signing up when they didn't finish their application or just didn't finish the process. Someone would send them a text message just saying, hey, your application is incomplete, or hey, this is the last step you have to take to drive. In terms of riders, obviously we haven't had any riders thus far, but I would think we might just send them an email saying thanks for riding with us or something, look forward to the next ride, or something to that effect.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks a lot, Donald. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Let's probably move to the next slide until we have anyone else who would like to add something. But if not, and I don't see anyone, so yeah, let's just move to the next slide. And the next slide is user retention. So we have the graph. This is the graph from Google Analytics, and it has a specific meaning, this particular graph. So this is a percentage of new users who return each day. So that means that if we have, like, initially we had 100% new users, so 100 new users, they open the app day 0 when they install the application. By day 28, only 2.6, well, a little bit than 2 users in general, open the app every day. Okay, that means like day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, they open the app. So that's what user retention here in Google. And of course, you want these numbers be as high as possible. And I just went through some different partners that we have, and I looked at their accounts, and the best numbers that I saw was close to 10%. So that means almost 10 users open their app within 1 month, almost every day. And this is a good thing. Just it shows you that your users are engaged, that your users use your app and they're willing to use it more often. But again, I cannot say that this is the right number for your market, right? Because user behavior is different from market to market. And for example, in Germany, you might see one thing, and in Egypt there will be another picture, and maybe in Egypt they don't use taxi every day, and maybe in Germany they do. You don't know it, but this is for you to really find your number. First of all, you don't want this user retention to decrease when you compare different time periods. Of course, you want to increase the percent. And as I said, if there is a chance for you to reach this 10% of like user retention by day 30, for example, it's going to be amazing, right? So you want to find the users that will use your app almost every day. Though it's quite difficult sometimes, you know, in the new markets, in different markets, it's difficult, really. So this is user retention. But all right, let's go to the next slide, and it's going to be about conversions. Conversions, obviously, it's very important events for you because they show some important actions that your users did. And also, you can use conversions in your advertising, in your Google Ads, for example. We have a number of events that are they have this check mark that these events are conversions. Session start, okay, booking confirmed, a very important event. We usually use this event to as a conversion event in our Google Ads campaigns. So this is just a tip for you, because you don't want just users who install your app. You want users who use your app. And if you set up booking confirmed as the conversion event in your Google Ads account, in your new campaign, Google will be looking for users who will be using your app. Just a tip. First launch, first open, those are kind of events that you would like to use. And because we're talking about conversions, there are also a number of different events that we use in our Google accounts, okay? A lot of them, really a lot of them. I cannot even get the whole list. And I don't want to discuss this a lot right now, because we are preparing a large guide for you, for our partners, about all the different events that we use in Google Analytics, okay? And all the different events that you will be able to use for your marketing. So it will have the event name, like for example, here we have order status started. What is this event? It's difficult to say just from its name, okay? Whether like, what does it mean? But it is an important event that you might want to use in your marketing, and you might want to build the audience based on this event, and you might want to use, I don't know, this event as the conversion, like who knows. Okay, so we will prepare this guide, and you will have all the different names of the events that you might be able to use. And yeah, it will be clear for you what they mean, when they happen, which button the user needs to click to activate this event. That will be available. I don't know when, I cannot promise you, but I do hope that by the end of spring, meaning the end of May, it will be available. I hope it will, but we're working on that. Pages and screens, also kind of another interesting thing. So basically, when you use the app, each screen, like each new screen that you see on your mobile phone, has its own name. And here you will be able to see, if you like look at page title and screen class point and reports, you will see all the different titles. Okay, here we have a passenger applications, passenger order summary activity, passenger main activity, meaning main screen, the screen when the user finished the trip, the screen when the user is kind of ordering the taxi, when he's choosing, I don't know, different payment methods, when he's checking for his account. A lot of different pages and screens. And this is also very important for you to know about how much users engage with each screen. And I'm going to show you a bit later how you can play around this. And I also want to add that in the guide that we're working on right now, we will also include all these different pages and screens. Again, for you to know which of them like means what, because like passenger trip activity, what does it mean? Which screen is it? It's also very important to you because, again, based on these pages and screens, you will be able to build audiences, to later send push notifications, to work on marketing campaign, for example. You will be able to see that, okay, people are leaving your app at this particular screen. They didn't confirm the order. They just slapped the app. And you want to improve it, right? You want to think about it. What's wrong with that? Why you didn't get orders? And for example, you see that they really like they are leaving their app and this app at this particular stage, and then you will be able to improve it. If you know where the weak point is, you can improve it, right? So that's going to be available, as I said. Then bounce rate. What do we have here? So bounce rate is basically when the user just have a single page session in your application. So they just open the app and they leave immediately. This is an important thing to know because again, if you understand that the user is leaving, if the bounce rate is too high, that means that the user just, like he's not involved in your app. Maybe he expected something else. Maybe he expected another app and he's got like a ride-hailing app, you might want to improve your marketing campaign or your, I don't know, a Google Ads campaign for this. And in order to check your bounce rate, you go to, in the reports section, on the right upper corner, you see this small button with a pencil, which is called Customize Report. And here you go to report data and you go to metrics. Okay, you choose the metrics. And then in the matrix, you look for the bounce rate. And there you will find, there you will find the bounce rate. And then you're going to save it. And you will see in your report this column, which is called bounce rate. I did it for different page title and screen classes, but you don't really need to look down. What you're interested in is this general bounce rate. And here we have 22%, and it's not high. Okay, it's okay, like it's relatively okay. It might be even higher, so it's not bad. That means that most users are relevant and they just don't accidentally go to your app and they get what they expected. But if you have a relatively high bounce rate, like 50%, you want to lower it down as much as possible. Again, just do something. Maybe your advertising is not right. Maybe your message is not clear. Something change. Then those were about reports. But also there is another tab which is quite great. It's called exploration reports, and they have all the different things here, all the different types of reports where you can play around with data. And you have free-form reports. Just go wild, do whatever you want, put all the types of data, and I'm going to show you later about this report. Funnel exploration. Here you might build this report, funnel exploration, based on different events that you have, and see how many users go to the very end, how many users actually get a ride, get a successful ride, and pay for their trip. Okay, and path exploration, I will also explain a bit later. That's a great thing for finding and seeing how your users are going through your app, using all the different screens, different events, what they do, how they use the app, basically. So that's what you're going to see. And let's go to this report. So here we have freeform. You have all the different types of visualization. You have tables here. You have donut chart here. You have bubble chart, whatever you want. You can choose anything you want to represent your data. This is just the example. Then, based on the freeform report, I wanted to show you how you can understand from which screens users leave your app. Again, for example, you have a lot of users. but you see that the number of trips is not that high. And you want to understand like what's going on, like at which stage they're leaving your app, okay? And you can do this with this freeform report. So basically in this section, in the settings sections, you will see these 3 main things that you need to define. And the first thing is segments. And basically for segmentation, you need to understand which users you're looking into. And basically here you do what we did initially when we try to set up our Google reports, just basic reports. And here we need streams again, because we are looking into passengers. So you go for streams and you choose stream exactly matches, and then you choose passenger Android. You just do these parameters. Then you choose or, and it's very important because by default, you will see here and, but you need to click or. Yeah, and then another stream is going to be passenger iOS, and it will help you to build, to see how passengers from both apps, if you need, of course, maybe you want to look only at Android passengers, you can build your report. Then when it comes to dimensions, to see from which pages, from which screens your users are leaving your app, you need to choose in dimensions, you need to find page title and screen class. And then in matrix, you need to find exits. You need to choose exits. It's going to be quite easy, actually. You will be able to find it. There is this search bar. Just type in like these names and you will find them quickly. Choose them. And then what you're going to do, you will add your passenger users to segment comparisons, because it will allow you to compare, like to look into passengers only. And in the rows, you will go for page title and screen class. And in values, you need to choose exits, which basically will show the number of exits. Okay. And then we get this freeform report. I do have some questions for this one to really discuss, and we will do it really quickly because we have some more things to discuss. But let's just see, for example, and for example, you understand from this report, I cannot say that from this one you understand this, but let's imagine that you found that users are leaving their page from this stage when they chose their last point, okay, where they want to get, but they just left. They made the exit from that screen where it shows that it's just the last step till they confirm the order. So they did not do the order. They just left the app. And what could be the reasons for that? What do you think are the reasons for them not confirming the order? Why could it happen? Let's just quickly discuss it. I'm going to quickly start. Maybe they don't see the drivers. Okay, they chose their point, where they're traveling to, and they just don't see the driver. You know, just taking the price. Yes, Marwa, right. Price, payment method, yeah, too long to get it right. Exactly, those could be the reasons why they are leaving. So that's just the ideas for you to think about. So if you see this picture, you understand what could be the reason. And if you see that you know that you really need to improve it, you can understand the reasons and you can work through them. Okay, great. Thank you so much, guys. Let's move to the next slide. And I also want to show you how you can use these freeform reports to actually find at which cities you can grow. And for this one, I chose the bubble chart. And again, we have passenger users. We're looking into users. And I made a breakdown by cities. For example, I know that this company operates in a couple of cities. And I want to see where they are more active, where they are less active, and what is the potential for them? Where should they really go wild in their marketing efforts. And for y-axis, those are the settings that I chose. I chose sessions, so how many sessions they have in general, and conversions, so how many conversion events. And that's what we have for this report. So basically what we can say based on the data that we have here, we see a number of cities here where our users are located, but the most number of conversions and sessions are in Kampala and Dorados, which means that relatively comparing to other cities, these two cities are doing well. Okay, so you can leave them for now, for example. But if you know that if you want to look at the cities that you want to grow, where you want to grow, here we can say that it's definitely Campo Grande. It's in the middle of the graph. Okay, so it has the potential. It has some users. It has some conversions. But you just need to work a bit harder. Maybe you want to launch a marketing campaign there. Maybe you want to add some, I don't know, like some push notifications and wake the audience up. Or maybe you want to hire some more drivers so that actually users will start using your app there. So Campo Grande is the one to choose, the most obvious one. And here, Brasilia is probably not that much, but in general, if you know that you have someone there, you might also want to go to Brasilia as well. So this is how you can use this graph. This is what you can do. Just an example, okay, how you can use these reports for your company. The report also that I wanted to show you is path exploration, just going to be quick again. The settings that you will have there is note type. And for this one, you would probably want to have event name and page titles, different page title and screen classes, etc., etc. Because basically, I'm going to show you later, those will be the dimensions that will define your steps, okay? And then you can make a breakdown. I made a breakdown by country. You can make a breakdown by city, for example. You can make breakdown by devices, by platforms, by anything you want, basically. So you can just see all the different paths for different countries, cities, devices, etc. And for values, we need the event count. So how many events were made at each stage, okay? And that's basically what you will see here. That's the report that you will see. The starting point, I chose the event name, and it will be the event name anyway. But for different steps, step 1, step 2, you can add more steps. It doesn't mean that you need to stop only at step 2. Okay, you can choose either page titles and screen class. Here we have it. So please remember, that's something you can choose, or you can again choose the event name. And at step 2, you might want to choose page title and screen class. Again, what does it show? Basically, how your users are moving through your app. Again, for example, they start the session, then they go to this particular screen, and you can see all the different cards. You can see different sessions that are going to driver launcher, because here we have a mixed audience, but again, you can really filter your passengers only. Driver main activity, passenger launcher, those are different page titles and screens that your users see when they after they started their session, okay? And then they go to the next step. It's going to be, for example, event name, or you want to choose instead of event name, again, page title and screen class. Again, you will see how different users are using your app, how they are navigating through this app. And it really might give you some ideas of how to do your marketing, to understand your users better, which is really important. All right, those are exploration reports. And here, just an example, because we did the breakdown by countries, you can highlight each country. So you see Uganda, Brazil, United Kingdom, Turkey, Netherlands. You can choose each country and it will be highlighted. the sessions from this particular country will be highlighted. Then it was a big part about the strategy and about weak points, about how Google Analytics can help you to understand what are the weak points, where your users are leaving the app. And after that, we're coming to the last question about what are the channels, what are the strategies and marketing strategies you can use to get more people on board, to have more users. And here, Google Analytics can help you to really track these different channels and make the right choice. Again, coming back to this gender and interest, this is something that you should keep in mind always, because based on this, you will understand much better your audience. And based on this, you will understand which message to deliver to your audience, which marketing campaign, which channels to use, what marketing campaign, what is the idea for the marketing campaign should be, right? Based on the interests of your audience, you want to engage them. And here we have, of course, the report about user acquisition. Here we have all the different channels that Google is tracking. And here we have organic search. Of course, this is something that is done within our app stores, Google Play and App Store as well. Organic search, people are looking for your app in the stores, they're finding it, they are downloading it, okay? Display, this is a paid search campaign. Basically, when you have a banner campaign, this is going to display campaign. Then we have direct, just people are finding like your app, they have a link and they just go straight to this page and they download this app. Paid search in general, it's not only display, it can be like search campaign, for example, in Google or wherever you have it. Mobile push notifications, it is available not for everyone, okay? You need to have a certain number of these push notifications, a certain number of the audience to get this group. But once you have it, mobile push notifications that you send via Firebase will also be available to you. Also organic social, that's basically if you have like groups in social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, I don't know, what else, TikTok, this will go to this category. And also, of course, we have unassigned, because sometimes for Google, it's difficult to really find the right, group for these users, and they go to unassigned. Usually it's not a lot of users, you will see there. And again, what do we have here? We have engaged sessions here, engagement rate, which is quite good. So based on this, you will understand how good users from different channels are engaged. And we see that from display, for example, engagement rate is quite high. That means that users that are coming from display campaigns, they use this app. And it's great. Honestly, it's great. When you see that users coming from paid search, the engagement rate is quite high, even higher than from organic search. Then they find that this app is relevant. Your message in your campaign is relevant, okay? If you see lower numbers, like if you see 50%, for example, that means that half of the users that you involve, that you invite via your marketing campaign, they find your app not relevant. That means that they expect something else from your app. They don't expect like a Ride.Line application. Then you need to change your marketing campaign in order to deliver users what they expect, right? This is just the example, user acquisition, again, choosing the channel, developing the channel. In order to really play around with marketing campaigns via different sources, and when you do, I don't know, when you work with push notifications, when you work with marketing campaign, audiences could be a thing that will help you a lot to really, like, I don't know, if you send push notifications, for example, and you want a specific audience, for example, they did not finish the trip, or they finished the trip, or they, like, I don't know, stopped at a certain step, you can build the audience based on that. And you then later can use this audience for Firebase. for your push notifications, or you can put this audience into Google Ads, and you can launch a remarketing campaign, you know, reminding these users that, hey, actually we have the app, and you might maybe want to order a cab, you know. So you go to admin section here, and you find this tab, which is called audiences, and you just create a new audience, okay? And how to create the new audience? You create a new audience from scratch. I really recommend you to do it from scratch, because Google has some options, but it uses some standard events, and they might not work for your company, for your application. And here you choose, for example, you want to include users that did a certain event, that did a certain action in their application. For example, booking confirmed. You want to, I don't know, say thank you to users who confirmed their order, who started their trip, okay? And you choose this event, and later you have different parameters for this event. And for example, you choose the event count, the easiest thing, okay, to choose, because it's with numbers basically. And here, for example, you choose the event count more than 3. Okay, so that means that you include in this audience users who made more than 3 booking confirmed events, okay, or more than 1. So everyone who made this action, who confirmed their trip with you, they will get a push notification, for example. And then you can choose also, again, maybe you want to send this push notification only to users from, I don't know, London, or from, I don't know, another city that you have it in mind, or from a number of cities, or from a number of countries. And you can also do that. You can just add and, okay, and you choose the city, for example, London, okay? And at the end of the day, that's what you will have. That's how your audience will look like. So you will get the audience with users who made booking confirmed, meaning they confirmed their trip more than 3 times over a certain time period that you will choose, and live either in London or in Palmas, okay? And again, you can play around these dimensions, this matrix, the way you want. And you can build the audience the way you want. And you can use other events as well. For example, you want to build the audience of users who, I don't know, started their booking, but they did not finish their booking. And you can combine events, and you can combine, I don't know, pages that they saw, and you can get this audience. And then you can just transfer this audience to Firebase, okay, and send push notifications to this audience. Or you can add them to Google Ads, again, audience manager, like you can see them there, and you know, and just go with them, and just launch campaigns, and play around them, and maybe launch campaigns like lookalike campaigns based on this particular audience. And for example, you want to find users who are frequent riders, okay, who do their trips, who really like travel often with your services, who use your services often, and you want to find more people like that, and you create the audience like that in your Google Analytics. You add this audience to Google Ads, and then you build like lookalike campaign. So Google will look for users that look like this audience that you built. And yeah, Google will probably find them. So you will get more active users. That's how you can use it. And of course, there are so many more things. Honestly, it's so difficult. I mean, it's an hour and a half we've been talking about it. And, you know, we went through all these different things and all these different metrics. And trust me, I didn't show you everything. There are much more to show. But you can just play around, and the way that you can do it, because of course that's marketing is a common sense, okay? And when you work with Google Analytics, you can just use basic logic and basic common sense. if you understand, for example, you have a problem and you want to find a problem, you need to think about who are involved like in this problem. Is it the users of a particular applications or the users from the particular cities? And you think about all these different things that can be involved, that can describe your users, your problem. And then you can go to Google Analytics and try to look at all these different dimensions and play around all these different dimensions and really see the numbers. And you will understand with these numbers and playing around these numbers and playing around these charts, you will understand what's the case and what the problem is and where the problem exactly is. Or even if you find, if you're looking for the solution, again, think about what is involved, what are the dimensions, what are the characteristics are involved in the solution, in the ideal solution that you want to have. And again, go to Google, look at what Google Analytics tell you with numbers, with graphs, play around criteria, play around categories, time periods, compare. You understand, for example, that, I don't know, more users, there were more active users in May last year than you have now. And again, go to Google Analytics, compare different dimensions, different metrics, and think about what might happen. Brainstorm, involve your team to think about it, let them express their ideas, and this will help you to solve the problem. That's how you want to work with Google Analytics. And again, if you want to learn more about Google Analytics, I would really recommend you just to go to their support. They have great articles there that will explain you everything. And as I said, when it comes to events and different screens that you see in your apps, we will prepare a guide for you that you will be able to use. Oh, that's it, I guess. I'm ready for your questions, and I'd be happy to answer them. Put them in the chat or raise your hand and go ahead. Yes, Donald, sure, please go ahead.
Is there a cost for Google Analytics separate than what we pay Onde?
No, Google Analytics is a free app. It's a free platform. You use it for free. Yes, one more question I have. I missed how to move audiences to Firebase. Actually, like, you should see them. Like, you should see them in Firebase, like, basically, because Google Analytics and Firebase is one thing. So, and actually, like, if you go to the analytics section in Firebase, you will see that it's basically Google Analytics. And here I have a screen from Firebase, and here you see this logo of Google Analytics. That's because that's where they get this audience, you know. So it's all connected. And actually, for Firebase, for example, if you are more used to Firebase, you can actually create the audience there. Like, if you see it on the screen now, here we have a button, new audience, and you can press this button, and there will be basically the same dimensions, the same criteria, the same settings as you see in Google Analytics. So it's just the same. Creating, okay, Marva, yes. Let's do that. I really want to wait for this guide, okay? Because it's difficult even for me to really navigate through these events. It's crazy. The amount of these events is crazy. And because these events that we have in Google Analytics now, they initially were created for the tech team. The tech team knows about these events, and but because we understand that marketing can also use it, we want to create this guide for you guys. And yes, let's get this guide done, and let's get a separate session on audiences. The recording of Zoom for reference, of course, be available, and the presentation will be shared with you. And of course, after this session, I will be happy to answer your questions. If, for example, like tomorrow you understand that, oh yeah, I've got another question, feel free to text me. I'm gonna leave my email here in the chat. if you don't know it yet, because you probably get a lot of emails from me. But in case you don't know my email, that's the one, it's in the chat. Text me about any questions that you have regarding Google Analytics, and I'll be happy to help you. Thank you, guys. If we don't have any other questions, I suggest that we just call it a day. And thanks a lot to everyone for being here. It's been 1 hour and a half, a long time. You're probably tired. So thank you so much, guys, and really appreciate it. And have a nice rest of the day and rest of the week. Thank you all.
One
Thank you
question
so much.
before we go.
Donald, sure.
Thank you. You did very well. Thank you.
Donald, please go ahead. I know you have a question, so please,
What-
yeah.
Was this call only for the Google Analytics, and anything else we need to know about the app, we would just email support?
Yes, when it comes to, so I'm not a technical expert in our application. So if you have any questions regarding applications, feel free to text support. If you have any questions regarding Google Analytics and this particular webinar, feel free to text me. If once you want to know, because I was talking at the beginning that, for example, we have AppsFlyer integrated, and AppsFlyer is a paid tool, so we don't put it for all the apps. But if you're interested in AppsFlyer, which is a different kind of system, also text your account manager. All right, but
Well, I do. Well, one just final question about that, because this is
Yeah.
my first time being able to speak with someone from Onde. Do
Yeah.
you know which platform between Google Analytics and the X platform you just mentioned, which is, I guess, easier to use? Is it just based on preference?
So
Would you know?
yeah, Google Analytics is available to everyone. Like all our partners has access to Google Analytics. If you don't have it, just text to your account manager and you will get access to this data. But in general, when it comes to AppsFlyer, AppsFlyer has an advantage when it comes to certain events. Because certain events like booking confirmed, in AppsFlyer, we get it from the server. So the data for these events will be the most accurate data that you can get. The data will be more accurate than what you get in Google Analytics. And also AppsFlyer is good if you have, for example, many different campaigns in many different channels, like in Facebook or in Snapchat, or you're launching campaigns in TikToks. AppsFlyer will be a great tool for you. It will probably just really provide more accurate data, and it will combine data from different sources, and you'll just see that, yes, this user is coming from this particular campaign that we launched on Snapchat. On Google Analytics, unfortunately, you cannot really see that. So but again, for AppsFlyer, you need to be ready to invest some money. If you're ready to pay, then I would recommend to go with AppsFlyer.
Okay, and my final question is, what time of day is it over there right now, where you are?
Okay, so it's 4:30. I'm in Europe, in Poland. 4:30 p.m.
4 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay, and is that the same time, I guess, the Onde team is on, the support team?
I mean, you can text them pretty much anytime. I think we have people in different locations right now, so they will be ready to answer. But yeah, we have the team here in Poland, and we have some people over there, like in Turkey and some other places, 1 hour ahead of us. But yeah, you can text them now and they will probably answer.
Right, I just know on the WhatsApp, they definitely have hours, and I just didn't know how to read, I guess, the time zone. So
Okay.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, guys.